Welcome to the KOMO Sports End Zone podcast with KOMO Sports Director Niko Tamurian and Najee Moye.
Well, how's it going? And welcome to the KOMO Sports End Zone. I'm Niko Tamurian alongside Najee Moye. Najee, it was a frustrating loss. Before we get to the Titans,
the pause that you made at the beginning of this podcast is how all of the Seahawks fans in the city in Western Washington are feeling after that. And I hit the microphone just now. It was hard.
It was hard, but it's like as the days move on past it, I'm kind of like, well, I don't think they're going to play that poorly again, especially Sam Darnold, who's been great all year. And yet, despite all that, they still had a chance to kick the game-winning field goal at the end.
That's the thing,
right?
You had a chance for a 61-yard, who had the leg, 61-yard game-winning field goal, to win the game on the road against a division rival who's had the same record as you after your quarterback threw 4 picks, 2 of them to the same individual. I don't like moral victories. I think as I get older, I kind of start to come around to them more and more and more. Obviously, it's a game that Seattle wants. You can just tell by the way the defense was playing. Early throughout the game, this was probably the best defensive game the Seahawks have had all year.
It was incredible. I mean, they held that offense to 249 total yards.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Stafford looked devastatingly confused. I mean, Kyren Williams, he had a big game on the ground. He got some pretty timely runs, but defensively, you can copy and paste this for the rest of the year and you'll win 15 games.
And I think that's just it. I mean, you saw the dominant defense. They had to play a little bit backs against the wall from the standpoint of, you think about one of those Rams touchdowns came on the Cameron Kinchins interception, returned to the 3-yard line.
Exactly.
And yet the defense still held them to 4th and goal, and finally Kyren Williams punched it in.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things that the more layers you peel, but listen, no, like you said, there's no moral victories. You turn the ball over 4 times. Like, that's not okay.
Right.
But that's not always going to happen. And the idea that despite all that, even if you turned, one of those Jason Myers field goals into a touchdown, you win the game.
Right.
Let alone one of the 4. I mean, really. Myers still had a chance. It was 61 yards. That's not on him. But even if you just got a few more yards on that final drive, he probably makes that kick.
That final drive also started at like the 1-yard line.
Inside
the one. I mean, I was when that was a great punt, by the way. But I mean, when you start a drive like that, you're just kind of with that much time left, you're just like wondering, just like, oh God, what are we gonna do? I started this by saying I am starting to lean on moral victories or believe in moral victories. Let's just say this: did the Rams deserve to win the game? Let's start with that.
When I always hear somebody say that, it's like, well, they did win.
Well, they did,
right? So they did something.
But by the same logic,
took the ball away.
But by the same logic, if the Seahawks had made that 61-yard field goal, I'd be asking the same question. Did they deserve to win?
I mean, that's the thing. I mean,
Matt Stafford
looked 4 interceptions. They did turn 2 into touchdowns, but the other 2 they didn't. And
Matt Stafford looked so confused for about 3 quarters.
The offense couldn't get much going on their side.
Right.
And the Seahawks still put up 465 yards of offense.
That's the other thing.
You think about that, and so that's why you leave this thing saying the Seahawks probably should have won that game. And there's some learning. Mike McDonald kept saying there's learning points. Yeah. And by the way, can we talk about what my favorite part of that post game was, which I'm not going to play for you here because of the expletives, but I loved Ernest Jones standing up for his guy.
Yeah.
F-bombs or not, like, that was cool. And I think that
they've been riding with Sam all year. Sam's been great all year. It's true. He'll be great again.
Yep.
Look, that's a tough team that they played, and Ernest knows that.
Yeah.
They're going to ride with them. Now, I mean, 4 picks does tie Sam Darnold's career high back when he was with the Jets, I want to say, and back with the whole I'm seeing ghost type thing,
Yeah.
Okay. He's not. This is not.
It's not going to end.
The situation is very different.
This speaks to the culture of that team, and I know people listening or watching and be like, what does that mean? This is coach speak, like this, that, and the other thing. But
it's a real thing.
It is a real thing, and the fact that right after the game, I'm going to tell you something, Nash. You were in some of those post game press conferences last year. There's a distinct difference after they lose this year. And, Mike McDonald was asked about the difference last year to this year. He's like, oh, God, that was like a different lifetime, basically. but that was the nice way of saying, like, yeah, this was a conscious change personnel-wise. Ernest Jones coming over midseason last year, Darnold taking the reins at quarterback. The list goes on and on. And now it's in that Mike McDonald mold, which is like we're winning together, we're losing together. And Ernest Jones, a leader in every way, exemplified that. And I thought that was I always thought that was special as hell to hear him stand up for his guy. And like, the F-bombs for effect, that's cool with me because, he's saying like, listen, come at my guy. Like he's going to be back. But if you still want to come at him, like, it's not like you're picking on Darnold, you're picking on this entire team and I'm not going to stand for it. So that's one of the things I take away from this as well. Again, no moral victories, but even in a loss that was as gut wrenching as that, you learn something about this team. You learn their mettle, you learn their makeup, and nobody's pointing fingers in that locker room, right?
Right.
I mean, if anything, you heard Ernest Jones say like, no, like the defense could have made more stops, which an outside observer is like, well, the defense played amazing, but he's saying the right thing because he wants to stand up for his guy. And that's
a leader right there.
Yeah.
That's a leader in the clubhouse. I do want to circle back and just talk about, and this is kind of like, okay, this is what the schedule is. This is who the Seahawks have played. They have no control over who they play in the regular season. But I mean, the only 3 games Seahawks have lost in the season are to NFC West opponents.
Yeah.
And they're all very good.
Yeah, they've lost. They lost the Bucks as well.
Oh, and then the Bucks as well. Yeah, but all very good teams.
All playoff teams, and by a combined 9 points.
Yes.
3 losses.
Now, what does that mean? Maybe some people would say that the Seahawks may have trouble playing against really good teams. The Seahawks themselves are. I mean,
but they've also beaten some good
teams. They've beaten some good teams too, and they just haven't. They've completely shellacked really bad teams. As they should. We talked about Arizona a couple of weeks ago, and we're talking about DC a couple of weeks ago too. The Commanders. This week, in the next couple of weeks, actually, the Seahawks have a chance to, and I kind of like this. When it's another tough loss in LA on the road against a team wearing some god awful jerseys. That may be the only person who dislikes those Rams jerseys with the all black and I just like, well, why? Midnight, I guess, right?
It was okay. I was indifferent.
I disliked them.
Like it was cool, but I was indifferent.
I'm going to be grumpy here and say I didn't like them. But going forward, the Seahawks play the Tennessee Titans, who will probably end up with a #1 pick in the draft again. This year with not Washington native, but former Wazoo quarterback, one-time Wazoo quarterback Cam Ward at the helm. This is in Tennessee.
Yeah, at 10 a.m. start. So Mike McDonald's got the travel down pat for that.
Yeah.
And we have a great conversation coming up, and I'll play that in just a minute with Jill Jelnick from our sister station in Nashville. She's at the Titans facility every day. She's covering that team in and out, and nobody knows them better than Jill. So she's got some great insight. We talked earlier today, and one of the things that I will say, spoiler alert, that she talked about was, she said how, okay, listen, obviously the record's what it is. Like anybody can watch and see this team is struggling, but they haven't quit.
Right.
And as I pointed out when she made that point, I said, well, everybody's making millions.
Yeah.
They're all NFL players. And so that is the one thing to watch for. Now, the Seahawks have to clean up. They have to say everything that went wrong against the Rams, they have to take it out on the Titans.
Yeah.
But if they don't, it could get dangerous.
It can get dangerous. And especially since, looking at the schedule, you have a stretch where there are 3 just kind of like teams that, if there's 3 in a row trap game that the Seahawks can have to deal with, then this could be it. I mean, you got the Titans, you got the Vikings, who are not exactly awful. They're not Titans level, but they're 4-6. And then you have Michael Penix, who actually may be out for the whole entire year. Falcons, and we saw the Falcons and the Seahawks play another one of the better defensive games I saw the Seahawks play last year was down in Atlanta last year. Falcons also 3-7, and I mean, as a Seahawks fan and as a Seahawks player, you probably are looking forward to playing some of these weaker teams, almost as like we're past halfway through the season. We're getting to the point where we need to stack some more wins.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I do think the Seahawks are one of the top 5 best teams in the league still.
I agree with that.
And Sunday's game didn't change that. Sam Darnold's not going to throw 4 picks again. I will say one thing I did like Kenneth Walker running the ball much better.
I agree with that.
Especially at times.
And they're giving him the ball.
Ball more. And, we'll see, and he's also catching the ball more out of the backfield. Kenneth Walker, fantasy-wise, he had probably his best game of the year. Helped me win my matchup last year.
And McDonald said that, like, they one of the reasons, and you mentioned fantasy football, a lot of players have asked me that.
Right.
Okay, why aren't they giving Kane the ball? Why are they feeding Charbonnet? And Charbonnet is obviously good.
Right.
But they were talking, what Clint Kubiak and Mike McDonald had said is about practices. In other words, like in training camp, Kane was kind of holding out. He's had the injury history while Charbonnet was full go. I mean,
sure.
All about it.
Yeah.
And They said practice habits kind of played into that practice
Yeah.
habits. And, but now K9, just like, and, they said something similar about Reek Woolen, like that consistency. And now Reek has been amazing.
Right.
So the message is getting through, and they said it's been a huge improvement for K9, and that's what we're seeing. And I would hope and expect that we see it against the Titans as well. And they do have a solid defense, but if K9 gets going, everything is elevated on that offense, which has already been pretty darn good.
Yeah. As I mentioned the schedule, I'm looking way, way, way ahead. And we talked about last year. I remember there was a bit of a murderous row that the Seahawks had.
Right.
3 games in a row.
I'd say this suddenly is pretty sneaky after this Titans game.
It's getting very sneaky after this Titans game. I mean, and well, even after the Falcons game, we're talking about in the middle of December, Colts, Rams, Panthers. Panthers now surprisingly
in the cusp of the
6 and 5. Colts are 7-3 right now, and the Rams are also 7-3. So things can happen. We just got to ramp up. Got to get these easy wins.
It's a big stretch.
It's a big stretch for the Seahawks, but I'm excited to see how they'll bounce back, especially Sam Darnold. He was in the MVP conversations. He can be again. Again, it's a tough division game on the road. 4 picks, 2 of them to the same guy.
Yeah.
Cam Kitchens obviously saw something in Sam Darnold, but at the same time, would you rather have a guy like Matthew Stafford or a quarterback like Matthew Stafford who just looked whatever Mike McDonald was doing to him and
Mike's
defensively? Matthew Stafford's a great quarterback. We talked about it last week, and the yardage just wasn't there.
Yeah.
They won the game. Like I said, did they deserve to win? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, onward to Tennessee.
And with that, let's break it down with, as I mentioned, Jill Jelnick, sports director at our sister station in Nashville. Love Jill. We've been buddies for a bit here, but she's so darn good at what she does, and great insight coming up here. Let's play what Jill has to say about this matchup with the Titans. Jill Jelnick from our sister station in Nashville. Thank you so much for joining us. How's it going out there?
Hello, Niko. Thanks so much for having me. It's good, other than our football team is struggling week after week. And if it wasn't for one lone win over an Arizona Cardinals team that beat themselves, then this would be a team that is winless. But 1-9, so we're going as well as a 1-9 NFL market is going.
Well said. That was a crazy way to win that Cardinals game.
It was, but hey, it counts. A win's a win.
A win is a win. I will say that, again, I'm not nearly watching this team as closely as you are, obviously. But I was struck that at least the last 2 weeks, for a team that was 1-7 and then 1-8, like they fought a little bit, it seemed like, right?
Yes. No, I think if you are watching intently and you have followed this team from the beginning, this is actually a Tennessee Titans team that has taken significant strides forward since week 1. Also, keep in mind, this is a very much a team with a rookie quarterback. Cam Ward, even though he was the number 1 pick overall, more times in these 10 games, he has had instances of a rookie quarterback than he has had instances of, oh yeah, there's that number 1 overall pick. And unfortunately, the number to look at is just the turnovers. 6 interceptions, 6 fumbles in 10 games. So 12 turnovers in 10 games is not exactly where you want to be, right? But again, he's a rookie. He's learning. If you watch him play, he can be at times extremely exciting and fun to watch. And you go, there it is. There's that number 1 pick. And then there's other times where you go, there is the rookie. So I think this is very much a team that has had to rely on a rookie, as well as a defense that has really been the backbone through the first 10 games. But this is still a Tennessee Titans team that's going through growing pains 10 games into the season, and the AFC South is not getting any easier. That's for sure.
Oh, definitely. And for us in the Northwest, it's been interesting to kind of watch Cam, of course, a couple years at Washington State before he went to Miami. Yeah, and his growth has been exponential. So I feel like, again, from afar, he's going to do good things there eventually in a Titans uniform.
We believe it. The media that cover him and see him on a regular basis, we believe it because we have seen him grow just from mini camp to training camp to that first week to now week 10. The progress is there. no, it's not showing up on the win column, and that's not always his fault. But I think the biggest thing is that there have been signs of progress. And interim head coach Mike McCoy has talked extensively about that, whether it's him going through his progressions, getting more comfortable with his reads, the play calling. But then again, there are also instances of rookie mistakes. He had a little bit of an issue with the cadence this past weekend. So there are, as much as there are positives in growth, there are some glaring negatives, and unfortunately, those are the ones that kind of show up on the stat sheet and result in losses in that column.
Yeah, and that certainly stands out from this matchup standpoint. This Seahawks defense is opportunistic, and even if they lost to the Rams last week, they only allowed 250 yards, so to speak, and it was a game where the Seahawks turned the ball over 4 times and still had a chance to win on a game-winning field goal because the defense kept them in it. Boy, oh boy, it seems like, at least on paper, where games, of course, are not played, as you know, but like it seems like the kind of matchup that could be interesting to say the least, right?
You're putting it nicely, Niko. You're putting it very
I'm trying
nicely.
to be, yeah.
It could be very daunting for a rookie quarterback going up against your Seahawks defense. I think there's no question that the Titans have struggled against good defenses this season. They opened the season against the Broncos. Talk about a welcoming to the NFL for rookie quarterback Cam Ward. I will point out that I believe the Titans offensive line has gotten better, stronger, stayed healthier. They got their right tackle J.C. Latham back from injury for the first when he was out for the beginning of the season. That has helped. Lloyd Cushenberry, their center, coming off an injury last season, he's back healthy. The offensive line has been able to give Cam more time at this point in the season than at the start, so that's a positive. The area where I think is going to be the most daunting and glaring when you look specifically at Titans offense versus Seahawks defense, Titans wide receiver core is completely depleted, and the biggest note of that is their top wide receiver Calvin Ridley had just gotten back from the IR, just got back from injury, and in the very first offensive snap for the Titans, he broke his fibula. So he will be out for the rest of the season. On top of that, he's obviously the headline, right, when it comes to wide receivers, but below that, 2 of their rookie wide receivers who have been excellent this season, Alec Ayomanor and then also Chim DK. Those are 2 names that, yes, I said those correctly. So if you need a pronunciation, there they are. Unfortunately, Chim DK was looked at in Sunday's game for chest contusion. No update on him yet. And then also when it comes to Alec Ayomanor, he is battling a hamstring. So he was in and out of the game. So all of that to say is Cam Ward doesn't have a ton of weapons when it comes to that wide receiver core. He has some solid tight ends. Obviously, running backs have done well. He has pass catchers, just not nearly as much as he normally does. That's going to be a huge mismatch.
Yeah, and it's again, you never know, right? But it's one of those things that's the Seahawks' strength. And as you mentioned, there's some things going on there with the Titans. Let's talk about Tennessee's defense, and I'll put it from our Seattle lens. We're like, oh, cool, Cody Barton, former Seahawk, has 3 picks, and Quandre was a fan favorite out here. How are those guys doing, and what's your take on that unit as a whole?
So the Tennessee Titans just parted ways with Quandre Diggs.
I missed that. You're right. You're totally right on that. Yes.
Yes. It, in your defense, it literally happened last Thursday. Yes.
Yeah.
Which was a bummer because we liked him and his connection with Cam Ward because it's his cousin. But that's okay. Cody Barton, personal favorite of mine because he gives such great sound bites, and he is what I would call one of those good man guys. Post game, even though it's a loss, he's still gonna say yes to an interview. He's still gonna give you a quality sound bite. And what you see is what you get with Cody. I really appreciate him from an off the field standpoint, but on the field, he's been great for Titans defense. He's been a spark plug when they've needed it. Had the pick 6, his first career pick 6. last week. He's been really great for that defense, but it's also a defense that has come together. Jeffrey Simmons back from injury. He came back into the lineup on Sunday, had a great game. Arden Key, another linebacker, loves to bring the pressure. Devondre Sweat, a big nose tackle up front. Now that he's healthy, he's been good. The defense has been the backbone of the Titans as a whole this entire season. The only thing is they usually tend to give a little bit in that fourth quarter, and when the offense can't put up points, unfortunately, that's when the game's determined.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where maybe that would be the window of opportunity for Tennessee from a standpoint that uncharacteristically for the rest of the season, Sam Darnold has been turning the ball over a bit. He had 4 interceptions, as you know, against the Rams. He had a couple and a fumble in the prior week, albeit it was a blowout win over the Cardinals, but he still turned the ball over 3 times. So that's something I'm going to be watching. Is there anything in particular you're kind of looking for maybe in this matchup, maybe that could make it a little more interesting than what would be set on paper, that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we've when it comes to the Titans, one area that kind of sneaks up sometimes that doesn't nearly get enough credit is special teams. And I think with the ever evolving special teams rules and the new kickoff rules, we've seen more instances of a spark plug. And the Titans have some young guys on special teams that have been able to provide a big relief sometimes, big spark sometimes. Elagayo Manor being one of them. Their rookie Chim DK. Unfortunately, like I said, they're both kind of in and out right now with injuries. But special teams has been a little bit of a even playing field in terms of Titans trying to catch up. And then I think maybe one other thing that might sneak up, the Titans running back Tajay Spears. He was on the IR beginning of the season, out for the first 4 weeks. When he came back, you could tell he was still coming back from injury. I think he's finally getting up to the Tajay Spears speed that we've known him from the last 2 years. I think he's due. I think he is somebody that when he can break loose and you give him some holes, he can do incredible things. We haven't seen that explosiveness yet this season. I think it's coming. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
That might be like a fantasy waiver wire.
I was just gonna say, yeah, you're welcome, fantasy football owners. You're welcome.
By the way, let me just share a quick opinion before I let you go here. Do you feel like, because this is a take that I've long held since I started covering the Seahawks, do you feel like covering an NFL team can actually make you worse at fantasy football? Because like a guy who's a contributor may not be the best fantasy player, but he's important to the team nevertheless, right?
I couldn't agree with you more. This has always been my hot take in fantasy football. I'm always in about 3 or 4 leagues every year. I love it. Yeah. It's so easy for me. Check the lineup. Boom, 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 boom. But I have noticed that because of our work, because of we get the waiver wire reports we get the injury reports. You know what I mean? I almost overthink decisions because of my knowledge, whereas in the rest of the guys in my league that don't even sometimes put in any effort at all, they get lucky. They happen to, oh yeah, so and so just had a huge game, it just happens to be in the lineup. Unfortunately, I've noticed the winner of fantasy football leagues tends to be the person that does not know the most, or is not the most knowledgeable about the NFL. Yes, football, yes, they keep up, but it's never the one that knows the most. And I try to be that person, but it goes against me. I overthink it.
Yeah, same with me, Joe. You just validated like my entire fantasy existence. There's been guys like, oh my God, this guy's popping in mini camp in June. He's going to be a player, and he may be a solid contributor to the team, but he's getting like maybe a couple fantasy points, if any. Yes, and I'm like, oh,
I know. Yeah.
I picked him up because I liked him at practice. Yeah. Anyway, Jill, thank you for validating that for me. I feel much better about missing the playoffs probably in both leagues I'm in. But regardless of that, we really appreciate your Titans insight. Have fun at the game on Sunday. And yeah, it's just going to be a fun one. And let's see how I really think the Titans have a young core. It's going to be fun to watch them develop over the next couple of years.
They have a bright future. I will tell you that. But I will also say one more thing, Niko, just be careful. This is a very hungry team. I'm not going to tell you this is the most talented team in the NFL. It's not. But this is a very hungry team. They are frustrated. They are upset. And they do put in the work at practice, and they're sick of losing. They are sick of losing, and at some point this season, that's going to pay off for them. I don't know what team it will be, what game, who it will be against, or what game, but just be careful of a 1-9 team that does not want to be a 1-9 team anymore.
Amen to that. Listen, everybody in that league's making millions, I think, or close to it, and so they're all good. And that's the thing. If you're the Titans and you're frustrated like that, what better team to beat? Maybe it's a divisional rival. Maybe it's a playoff caliber team like the Seahawks, and that can do wonders. Yeah, I buy into that. You're not. For all of Seattle, I hope it doesn't happen this Sunday. But I buy into what you're saying because I've seen that happen before. No question about it.
Yeah. Thanks again, Niko. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jill.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, that was something.
Boy, oh boy. I hope, and an angry team with 1 or 2 wins, coming up against another angry team who just lost to a really good team. I'm not sure if I'm putting the Seahawks on the upset alert because I'm definitely not.
No, but I think the point was valid.
The point was valid.
They will. There aren't a lot of 1-16 or 1-15 before the league schedule expanded teams in the NFL. The Titans are going to probably beat somebody else at some point this season.
Yeah.
Now, chances are low it's the Seahawks, but she didn't say a Seahawks necessarily. It's somebody. I buy into what she said. It's going to be somebody, and if the Seahawks don't clean up, like we said before the interview, if they don't clean up what went wrong against the Rams, it could get dicey. It could get dangerous. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Do many people? No. But it's a possibility.
Just keep sailing, keep flying. I think the Seahawks are a great team. Like I said, top 5 in the league. This could be a hiccup. But I think if they just focus, Mike McDonald has his team disciplined.
11-2 on the road with McDonald.
The number one thing I think about with the Seahawks team when I think about them is discipline. I look at Mike McDonald's sidelines. You don't want to disappoint him. Believe me, I've heard him yell. You don't want to deal with it. And he's also, he looks like he can pretty. I texted
he gets in and lifts with the guys.
Yeah. I texted Niko during the game during last week's game, and I was like, who would win in a fight, Sean McVay or Mike McDonald?
Mike would hands down.
Easily. He's probably benching like 3 plates already.
I agree. Yeah, I'm going to ask him next practice. How many plates?
Yeah, ask him how many plates. I can tell he definitely works out. Also, separately, I was going to brag on Niko about one thing she said about, the more you know about football in general, the worse your fantasy team is. Although me and Niko are both 4-7 in the KOMO league.
Well, I think the point I was making was that when you're in a team's like facility or at the practices, all that stuff, like, a guy that a coach is going to get excited about because he might make the roster or be a contributor doesn't necessarily translate to like doesn't have a direct correlation to fantasy success. Like the player could be good,
right,
and really could contribute, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be like. And so then I'll hear McDonald or before him Pete Carroll get pumped about a guy, and that guy isn't that good in fantasy. He's a good player for the Seahawks, but he's not a good player in fantasy. So that was the argument there. But yes, you can. I'm 4-7, whatever. You can say whatever you want, man.
Out of my 4 leagues, I'm 4-7, 3-6-1, 4-7-4, and 2 and whatever it is now. It's things are not good. We're covering all the spectrum.
Yeah, here, so. My other league, I'm 6-5. I won by a decimal point, so we're gonna take that and run with it.
Yeah.
Najee, after everything Jill said, after everything we've said, what's your prediction in this one? I think we have to spend a lot of time on this as we wrap things up. But what's your prediction?
I don't think it'll be a complete blowout. I mean, I think the Seahawks have blown out teams bigger than they will Tennessee. I think Tennessee. I like Cam Ward. I liked watching him in college. I'm a Hurricanes fan, and he was interesting to watch. I do think the Seahawks are going to probably win this game 31-14, which is not as a massive blowout that we've seen them have in weeks past. What do you think, Niko?
I'm going to go with them turning in another Cardinals or Saints performance where they're just angry and they run it out. 42-10. I'm going Seahawks.
Okay, we'll see.
And they're going to get touchdowns instead of field goals. That's why I say 42.
Yeah, and I'm hoping K9, for the sake of my fantasy league, if I make the playoffs, continues to have a fantastic game.
There you go.
Yes.
Najee, appreciate your time. We appreciate Jill Jelnick. If you're ever in Nashville, check out her reports. Again, I think the world of her reporting. She's awesome at what she does and gave us awesome insight. She made that 1-9 team sound like you don't.
I was afraid.
You don't pay a lot of attention to them.
I was loosely afraid.
But after after listening to Jill, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be watching this guy. And I had an eye on DK for a while. Not to be confused with DK Metcalf. DK Dike is his last name.
Right.
So I think that was a really insightful thing. We appreciate Jill's time again. If you're going to check out her work, please do. She's awesome at what she does. So Najee, we're back next week.
You're back
and
next
that
week.
One we'll be breaking down the Vikings, and maybe we're talking about an 8-3 team. We'll see what happens. This is
I
the
hope
clutch
so.
time of year. Yeah, that is the hope. Hawks favored by 12.5. For Najee, I'm Niko. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the KOMO Sports End Zone.
Go Hawks.